in ban, as we expect, and a Lulu ban. Team's starting to really not like playing against Lulu.
Yeah, we also saw last game how dominant Lulu can be. We saw yesterday on Alex, for instance, how good Lulu is. And they don't want to deal with this because it also has wave clear. You can do the same thing you can with these very slow champions where you can just delay the game. Lulu can do the same. She can also make plays early on. And then Evelyn ban from Copenhagen both sides simply just because they don't want to deal with the early game pressure from someone like Ernie on the Evelyn. We actually see the Ziggs ban coming in against Coutard, and also LeBlanc take away from Curb his favorite champion when it comes to making plays early and then roaming around the map, setting up kills for Millenium.
Will they consider a first pick Gragas coming out from this one? I'd be quite surprised because that gives Millenium then two other directions to go for, whether that be Elise, for example, and to pick the priority on the supports now that Thresh has gone.
And the thing about the Elise pick, amazing was the guy talking about how teams don't practice Elise anymore, so they don't really want to pick it up this early. We will see if he actually decides to fall. Nope. Decides to just lock in the Elise in, ignores the Elise completely, and Elise in for him. 5 wins, 1 loss. Amazing KDA, and he's always setting up so many things early game. So I like this pick for them, and they really trust in him to do well early.
Well, we should have listened to him yesterday because he actually just basically told us what he just did right there with ignoring the Elise and putting the priority to Elise in. Other side for Millenium here, we're going to see Kevin with Trundle in that top lane, a champion that he's actually done so amazingly well on. For example, just taking one of those games against Alliance 5-0-14.
He has a KD of 37 on Trundle, won 2 games with it, and they take it away from Youngbuck, who absolutely loves to play Trundle. Both teams really know how strong this champion is. As soon as you get into team fights, put down a good pillar, steal away some stats from the enemy tank, and you just become this monster, very hard to deal with. And also we have the Gragas for Curb, taking it away from Copenhagen Wolves, making sure they don't have this safe wave clear. And we've seen Curb before on Gragas. You can push out the lane, then roam around and make plays.
So over on the other side, Annie support for Unlimited. He's played a number of different, he's gone a number of different directions with his supports. Obviously done a lot of Leona in there. We've seen Karma coming out a couple of times from him as well, but gonna be Annie. And the interesting one for me is obviously this Kale. How to change this patch?
Kale was nerfed a little bit. Her Q is now 0.6 ratio instead of 0.1. However, her ultimate does cost no mana at the moment, and also her heal actually scales with ability power, so you move faster the more ability power you have. It's a very strong change utility-wise for Kale. Her damage is slightly nerfed, but she's still very, very good, and she should be able to do fine. Maybe not too much against this Gragas. It's a very hard lane for Kale, actually. Once Gragas gets a few levels, can start shoving out the lane and then really go for the kill. It can be very hard for Kale to deal with her. The Lucian pick, I like that from Kraton because it simply means there's an Annie against us. We want to have a good laning phase. We're going to go Lucian. We can also dodge the tables from Unlimited. And also, Elise was obviously left open. And Millenium, due to Lee Sin being picked so early, knew that they could just wait with the pick and just got to do priority picks in Trundle and Gragas, and then picked up Elise afterwards.
Now, what we see for the Wolves, they've actually picked up the AD carry, of course, for Forgiven. Gonna beat Caitlyn, a champion which he does really, really well on, actually, if you look at his form from that one. And then the top laner to be picked up, they were hanging over Vladimir, and actually they're going to switch around. It's going to be Vladimir top lane here.
And this is a champion Youngbuck has been pretty much in love with for such a long time. He loves Vladimir, he thinks he's so strong on it. And the thing against Trundle, you can always get farm. It's the same with someone like Amundo. Trundle is a little bit of a slow starting laner, so Vladimir will be able to farm from a distance, put up a lot of poke, and will scale together with Trundle. And also, here's the tricky part. You don't build too tanky onto Vladimir, so there are very few stats that Trundle can actually steal away from you once it gets to the team fights.
And there'll be a lot of AoE messiness in there for them as well. Vladimir throwing his ulti and doing damage to everyone. Tibbers coming down in the mix of it, then Kale swinging with the E the entire time. There's a lot of damage to actually be coming down once they get into those team fights, but I mean, someone like Gragas can basically stop that from happening.
You can more or less decide if you want to take this fight. If not, then he just throws down the ultimate, knocks the enemy team back, and then his entire team disengages. I'm a little bit surprised about this Morgana pick, because it leaves Millenium without any real hard engage. They actually rely on a Trundle pillar or Curb coming and throw down his ultimate, shoot someone back to his team. If they pick up a Leona, which is very good against Annie, they could have set up some more fights, but they believe they want to counter-engage instead of going in for the fights.
Well, let's take a moment to check out you guys' votes. It looks actually like the Copenhagen Wolves leads Millenium by 69 to 31%. And I feel like I agree with everyone at home a lot these days. I think that's about right. The Wolves looking very much in form.
We can agree, Wolves won 3 games in a row, but we also have to remember this is the European LCS. Every single team will beat each other.
Yeah, and over again. That's
over
the
and over
interesting one from this one. It's hard to just look at who they've won and lost against and then call the games coming forward from that, because they literally are just beating each other constantly. One thing we said already, this game last time around was the longest game of the split so far. 57 minutes it took them, and that really just confirmed what we thought. The fact that these teams struggle when they have a lead of closing out games, but also that the opposition can stretch out these games and maybe bring in a bit of a weakness. But here we go, we're going into a game. It's the Copenhagen Wolves taking on Millenium.
And the funny thing is, this time around, it's actually Copenhagen Wolves who has the combo to engage. It's going to rely so much onto Annie. She has to go in, or Amazing, to go in there, find the target, get either stunned or kicked back into the face of Copenhagen Wolves so they can pick this kill up. Otherwise, both combos, they have a lot of wave clear, and they can really extend the game, so we might be in for a very long one.
Well, one of the only teams really in the European LCS to do stuff, do interesting stuff, I'll say, because everyone does stuff at level 1, is Millenium, and that's exactly what they're doing right now, moving in quite deep. Oh, the binding has actually landed here. Unlimited is going to take a lot of damage. What a stun, though. It doesn't get any better than that. His life was in danger, and he stopped it right there.
And Kirby didn't feel safe body slamming in because they didn't have any vision. They didn't know if the rest of Copenhagen Wolves were waiting, so had he body slammed in, he would have been in a very risky position and could even have died himself. So Millenium, they go in, they show some aggression, they actually put down a ward very deep in, and this is a ward that's going to last because we have Ancient Coin on to j, so this is a 3-minute ward, not just the trinket one.
And there is Amazing actually going to take a bit of damage. Youngblood was just in the brush onto the top side. So the Copenhagen Wolves, not without a little push of their own really here at level 1, just trying to get as much vision as they possibly can. You see that j just waiting inside of that death brush. He's going to basically face off with Counterhard. And we see as the trinket wards do come available, they'll just put them down and have a little bit of vision.
So we have to touch a little bit on the Ancient Coin. It's a risky starting item for j because Morgana against Annie. We saw it yesterday, Vander against Unlimited. It's very hard for Morgana to actually land the poke unless she hits the bindings. So she's most possibly actually going to be poked a lot by Annie and Caitlyn early on. Because you won't have the tanky stats that you get from Door and Shield.
And relying really on that black shield, as you said, because of that coin start to really stay safe from that one, especially from the stuns that Unlimited is going to be able to throw down onto him. Interesting to see how this one all develops in there. Giving a lot of respect actually over to Creatine. We know how strong Creatine can be. Is he going to get stunned up in there? Just a little bit of damage pushed in from both sides of things. Typical kind of battle to level 2.
Battle to level 2, and it's what you can do against something like Morgana. After she used the binding, you know she doesn't bring anything. You can go for it, get some poke onto the carry, and notice how they more or less ignore j, just going full onto Creatine, because every time j misses the binding, they move forward, they know he's pretty much out of the fight.
And they are going to be hitting level 2 here faster now that they've pushed them completely away from this one. j at half, Creatine just a little bit less health on him at that point, and there is level 2 hit here by the Copenhagen Wolves. No stun charged up for Unlimited, so he's not able to really get in from that one, but they've done their job at this point of starving out Millenium as much as they can.
And they got some very good poke onto Creatine, who already had to use his health potion, so he needs to be really careful he doesn't get poked too much onto his own turret, because then it's going to be very hard for him to actually get back in the lane. Meanwhile, both junglers have been farming so far, but now he's actually going towards the top lane. Might go for an early gank onto Youngblood.
Youngblood has a point in W here, so he's basically going to have to be fast on it.
Oh,
not a lot. He's already used this one. That could be very, very dangerous. He's gone Flash and Ghost. He's used both of them. The Cocoon lands onto him. Youngblood in all kinds of trouble. Can they finish flashing? Kevin actually is going to pick up the kill. Last blow will get him. He did take a bit more damage than really calculated into that one, but nonetheless, good from Millenium. But I have to wonder, Youngblood may be a little bit dodgy in terms of the times when he's using spells there.
Yeah, you know it's bad if you use both your Ghost, your Flash, and your pull, and you still die. Very nice time gank from Aranir, but simply due to the fact Youngblood popped his pull so early on, when he was even Kevin only there, it meant that he couldn't escape this gank. Nice use though of both Pillar, and also Aranir saving his Cocoon until after the flash from Youngblood, then he landed it, and it took the kill.
Really, really nice first blood from Millenium. It might not be the last one here. Well, it will obviously be the last first blood. That didn't make sense. They're going for Counterhard here. And, well, he's going to get Cocoon, but I don't know if they've got enough damage to actually take him down, but nonetheless forces him out of lane.
A very active start from Aranir. He focused on top and mid lane. Meanwhile, Amazing, he actually went down towards the bot lane, possibly to see if he could start a dive, but he decided to back off and nothing happened. Meanwhile, though, Aranir has been very active, and he's actually been putting a lot of pressure on the Copenhagen Wolves.
Well, we heard from him that he's not afraid of going in there and dying himself if it means that the rest of the team actually benefit from things. He doesn't care about his KDA and his score by the end of it. It just has to be a successful move if he does end up going down. And that's what we see in his play. I mean, if he lands the cocoons, it's so very hard to get away from that when you pair it with a Gragas or a Trundle.
Yeah, especially because there's so much damage on both Gragas and Trundle. They also have a slow, so if you get some CC on early, if someone is stuck far up into the lane, it's very easy to chase them down. Youngbuck, he did ward up, but he has to be careful because he's pushed far up to the turret. Arnier though, he's going towards the mid again.
Yeah, Kautard surely in trouble from this one. That's a full range cocoon. Kautard does have a flash available, and there it is used, but it's not going to be enough. Now Curve's going low. Amazing's right in there. Can they finish him off? Curve's gone low. Amazing's backed off, but he gets the kill with the red buff on him actually in the end.
So Millenium, they invest everything into this gang. Kirk, he body slams and flashes into the face of Kautard. That's why he got him, even though Kautard flashed away. It did mean though, Amazing going very aggressive.
Yeah, RNA kind of misjudged that one. Actually lands the cocoon. Amazing's already moved off. It's all going to be about the Q and whether he can land it. He does land it. RNA is going down. Amazing went very low in the end, but he gets the kill nonetheless.
And this is the downside of the very aggressive RNA. Sometimes he stays too long, gives up a kill here to Amazing, who's starting out very strong once again. He's the guy Copenhagen Wolves need to get pretty much fed early game and get him rolling so he can help the rest of the team. But all in all, it was a good gang setup by Millenium. They just invested everything, so because Amazing was there for the counter gang, they ended up giving kills back to Copenhagen Wolves.
See that, how quickly Youngbuck can push those waves once he starts stacking that E up. And got this natural sustain as well coming out from his Q. Not having problems there. Well, I say not having problems. He's already had that one problem that resulted in the first kill over for Millenium. But we'll see if the junglers actually get involved again up in that top lane. Considering the fact that his Flash and his Ghost are both down, I'm quite surprised that that RNA has not been up there a little bit more.
Especially because, yeah, as you said, no summoners, and he's just chopped all the way up the turret of Kevin, almost even diving him, harassing him on the turret constantly, and both the top lane and bot lane for Copenhagen Wolves are just winning so hard CS-wise because they can just shove the lane, and because they're stronger laners champion-wise at the moment.
There is Kevin teleporting back in, and you can see that Youngbuck just steps forward to do a little bit more damage. But this is the lane that they want to really get going. Kautard, of course, doesn't have a flash. There's a repel, and he's already too far behind the turret here. And that's the beauty of the heal and the speed for the Kale with that scaling now.
Yeah, the speed will be very useful for him to escape these ganks, maybe even try and dodge around the belts from Curb. But yeah, a lot of focus onto the mid lane. They want to get Curb rolling early, and now j rieg going really low.
Wow, that was a miscalculation, or was it? RNA is coming around, maybe just starting off a little bit too early. RNA is going to do a lot of damage here. Will he be able to finish off Unlimited? One more auto attack will actually do it. Forgiven has to get away because Gragas is coming down here now as well. There's the ultimate. What a flash from Forgiven. It sent him behind the tower when that ultimate was coming in. If he'd not flashed, he would be dead by now.
If he didn't flash, he would have been dead. So very nice use of flash from him. It does mean, however, that Millenium can go towards this dragon. Kautard, he's still in the mid lane, and Amazing, he's up in the top, so they won't even contest this one. But j rieg, he tried to bait it out. He wanted them to go on him, so then Arnier could come down from the side and get a kill. Did take too much damage and actually died for it, so it wasn't entirely worth it. Though, they get the dragon, so it actually makes it a small win for Millenium.
Meanwhile, Kautard pushed this middle lane up, but honestly not really got enough damage or anything to really make that much of a dent on this outer turret. So no turrets taken up until now. We see that the gold is 400 in favour of the Copenhagen Wolves. That top lane CS 63 to 48. We see that Vladimir just started to get a little bit out of hand on that front. When he did die, he actually picked up the boots as his first item, which, considering both of those defensive summoners were down, he needed them.
You need the move speed, of course, and it works also against Trundle. If you can always get away from him, keep hitting him from the distance, that's the best. Amazing, he's sticking around his mid lane, that's why Kautard feels safe to push the turret, and he might even want Arnier to come in and gank, and then Amazing is there for the counter gank. The roam Curb did beforehand actually cost him quite a lot. He was even in CS, but now he's fell behind because he went all the way bot, didn't actually pick up anything except for the dragon later on together with Millenium.
Buck has got himself that revolver now, so he's going to be sustaining even better whilst doing that bit more damage as well as he goes. As you said, this mid lane, Kautard now does have his blue buff on, Curb has his blue buff on as well, and we'll see how they face off. Now Curb does get in this CS total that he lost out on a little bit earlier on, as j rieg down bottom going to take a lot of damage, but in the end it was blocked out, the ace in the hole by Creaton, just to help spread that damage between the two of them.
And notice Arnier again, around the mid lane, he is spotted by the ward. in the river, so Kauto knows he's there. He's not going to go too aggressive because you don't want to risk dying. Amazing, meanwhile, he's coming in. He can potentially set up a counter gank.
RNA is on the wrong side of the map at the moment, and there we do see him repel over to the other side. Amazing is in behind them. Don't know if they've got enough damage to think about kills here. In fact, both teams trying to do a little bit and then back away from it. Definitely not committing fully to that one.
And RNA are constantly putting focus on the mid lane. It meant the bot lane didn't get too much help. They have now lost the turret. Top lane will lose the turret as well because Youngbuck, he's just constantly pushing him down. Amazing, he's staying around bot here if something should happen. But out here, he's just doing wolves, so it doesn't seem like he want to go down and stop anything from going on.
Yeah, they put a ward straight over into the white camp just to see if Amazing was there, and guessed right there to j riiii. That Amazing has already backed away from that. And with RNA starting to come across, we can see that the Copenhagen Wolves just want to keep it safe on that bottom side. Counter's starting to now feel a little bit more confident against Gragas in the mid, though.
And here's the scary thing for Millenium, because the laners from Copenhagen Wolves, obviously, they're counter picks towards what they're playing against, but they also scale really well into late game. Vladimir becomes so strong once you get some items. We have Caitlyn, of course, once she hit the 3-4 item point, she's very, very strong as well. This time around, RNA is finally going back to the top lane. He is spotted out, though.
Well, he was, spotted out. As you said, the summoners are now back up, and Youngbuck basically just turns around waiting for the cocoon before he uses that ball, and RNA realizing he can't actually do anything with those flash ghost up, and the fact that he's pulling, be able to pull away from that cocoon in the end, just walks away. But Amazing is now starting to move up to this top side of the map.
If he can actually spot out here, he can hit him fairly low. Did spot him here with the golems, but he's pretty much too far away for actually start anything. So Amazing, he's just sticking around, making sure nothing really happens.
Yeah, well, maybe to help out finish off this tower here. It is already very low, Kevin. Just being hit by the Q wall. They got to follow up. Actually, Youngbuck getting caught there with the cocoon. Half of his health gone very quickly. But
he will be able to regen with his own Q. He also has the spell vamp early on. There's a lot of regen. As long as he can get to keep farming these minions, he's gonna go back to full HP, and it's no issue for him. Copenhagen Wolves really want this out of turret. Meanwhile, Millenium sent 3 people mid.
3-man push onto mid. Kauto's got to clear out those minions here with safety, which he's actually done a good job of staying away from that dark binding, but he's been pretty much forced away from that turret now. As we finally see him come back in, as the minions start to join in, he'll be able to force Millenium off that one. Not the case really in this top lane though. Amazing and Youngbuck between them causing all kinds of problems, and it looks like they're going to back away and leave that one.
And they have so much range poke, especially with Vladimir. There's nothing Millenium can do to defend it. They're going to lose this top turret. Meanwhile, look at the 80 carry CS. That is a huge difference. There's no chance at the moment for Kreaton to do anything towards Forgiven, so he's just going to stay here, constantly farm away, and constantly expand his lead.
And that's something that Forgiven does so incredibly well, and that trend definitely continuing. BF sword vamp scepter for him. Compare that over to just the Phage, and having to go in for boots there earlier on as well did Kreaton. He's having a horrible time of it in the bottom lane.
And that's again where we have to question the Morgana pick. If it works for them in team fights, it's alright, but they've really been losing the lane hard. One of the reasons was the Morgana. Obviously, Copenhagen Wolves have been playing it pretty much perfect with the 2, with the Annie and the Caitlyn, like we saw yesterday as well, where they did with Annie and Jinx, constantly pressured away. But Morgana in lane, Ancient Coin is not the best start and didn't help Kreaton at all.
Youngbuck actually just getting spotted out there by Kevin, who's going to put a decent amount of damage back onto him. He's got that Negatron cloak and the Cutlass's Curb going a little bit deep. He's actually pulled them back in. Kauto's locked up. Curb picks up that kill. They're not going to be able to take down Amazing, but that was a strange fight. I think both teams underestimating the value and the damage from the other.
But that was a beautiful combo from Millenium, because the ultimate from Curb knocked Kauto back straight into the cocoon from Elise, and then you just bursted him down. Elise has so much single target burst, and if you drop low, her Q is an execute in spider form, so she can just finish you off very easily.
And that's in perfect timing for not only these blue buff spawn to go over on towards Curb, but in 30 seconds the Dragon's coming up as well. And with the Copenhagen Wolves taking that last one, not something the Millenium are going to give up.
Actually, Millenium took the first one.
That's true.
After they did the whole gang in bot lane. They invested a lot with Curb, losing a lot of CS, but they did get the Dragon for it, so they need to pick up the next one to try and catch up and go, because the lanes, they are losing at the moment.
Lane's falling behind this top lane, 15 CS, which is going to jump to 20 CS just like that with one single E coming out from Youngbuck. He's happy staying up there, but staying up there might also be a problem for them, because that Dragon has now spawned in. There's a teleport for Kevin, so he can get involved if he wants to. The Wolves are closing in a little bit from mid and the bottom lane. Amazing is there. Ace in the hole's going to go through, and there is the steal. Amazing goes in, picks up the Dragon, and they back off. Perfect.
And that is just so perfect for Copenhagen Wolves. They don't have to risk a fight. Youngbuck, he was moving down from the top lane in case there was a teleport from Kevin. Kevin would have been there first if a fight had started, so it's just perfect for Copenhagen Wolves. Get the dragon, back out, go back to your very strong lanes and just continue farming away.
Really good stuff, and that tower in mid is actually starting to go really low. He's got 2 levels over RNA though. This could be actually a really interesting fight. We've got Kale coming up. Will they try and turn this one around? Trundle's come into the jungle as well, and there he's Youngblood going in. He's actually ulted onto RNA, and the ultimate, Wizzy timed this one right. No! He jumped too early. I think he might have been dead even if he didn't jump there. And there is the push. J Ree gonna ulti in on towards Amazing. They lock him up. Kurt picks up that one.
So again, Aranea would have died up in the air, even though he had the ultimate from Vladimir. He would have died up there. You don't prevent the damage from taken by repelling up. Meanwhile, Youngbuck, he actually went in. As you said yourself, he was 2 levels above him. Aranea decided to stick around to stop him. Managed to stop him at first, but then he stayed. Instead of just being happy throwing Youngbuck away, he actually stayed and decided to take the fight with him for the red buff and then died for it.
Now, there is the turret as well, the 3rd one of the game for the Copenhagen Wolves. All outer turrets are now gone from them. This is where they... Oh, this is where we'll see how well they can control the game. They've done this in their previous games. Let's not forget, 3 wins on the bounce. They beat Millenium, Fnatic, and Roccat to get on that streak, and so far it's looking really good for them again.
And the good thing for Copenhagen Wolves is that they don't actually have to do anything special compared to what they have been doing. They can just keep pushing out these lanes because, again, Youngbuck, Ghost, Flash, pull on Vladimir. Very hard to kill once he gets these items. He's already having a giant spell, and no, landing on the counter.
Have they got the damage though here? That's Kriaton who's so far behind, and Kautard who's actually his ultimate did just come off cooldown. He had Flash as well, so once he goes low, no real danger for him, and he's going to get himself his blue buff and recall back off to home and probably finish off that Nash's tooth along the way.
Meanwhile though, Youngbuck is coming towards this mid lane. They want to stop it. 4 members from Millenium. Can they try something?
Oh, they're going to pull Unlimited back out. They got the damage. Aranea stepped forward as though he wanted to go for that one, but Youngbuck was off to the side. But with those barrels landing from Kerp here, it looks like Copenhagen Wolves may well be forced to back away from the turret. There's another one. Lands on towards Youngbuck. Turret's still standing. Amazing, trying his best to deal with that. Forgiving is now there as well. They should be able to hold this one, or they might just back away and lose it anyway.
The fact that Gragas' ultimate is down means the hard engage, or actually the engage for Millenium, is gone. They need to land a binding now and then try to dive Copenhagen Wolves onto the turret. That's why they feel they can stay and defend this one. And also, it's going to be very hard for Millenium to actually set something up.
Bindings and cocoons, the scary things at this point when you stood behind that tower, and there is a cocoon landed on towards Kautard. The culling coming out from Kriaton as well, and slowly but surely, if they do this over and over and over again, they're going to be able to take that turret, and the barrel not far off coming off cooldown either.
And once the ultimate is ready, they can set something up. Youngbuck, he is moving around up here in the top. He might be going, he's actually going down towards the mid lane. Maybe want to try and collapse onto Millenium. It set something up.
Chasing all goes through. Not really the damage that they were looking for. That's the problem with chasing against an Elise and a Morgana. They're going to throw the cocoon the dot, binding your way. If you're packed up tightly, then he's going to get 1 or 2 of you locked up in that one. But for now, the Copenhagen Wolves at least chase them out. In the meantime, we saw Kevin split pushing, and he's managed to take down the first turret of the game, actually, for Millenium.
Kevin is using this teleport very good because he's just going to a lane, split pushing, and if something happens, he can join in with teleport. Meanwhile, Youngbuck, he went top to shove that one out, so nobody was bot to actually defend the turret. Free turret for Millenium, just what they need to get back in the game. And meanwhile, as you talked about with the disengage with Binding and Cocoon, that's actually how Millenium can turn fights around. If Copenhagen Wolves get too aggressive and they get caught, then the rest of Millenium will just turn at least single target damage. The damage from Gragas, you can just instantly burst down a target.
And you have to fear a little bit when you look at Caitlyn. 180 to 126 years, got a kill in there as well. Already got his Bloodthirster, working towards an Infinity Edge here by the looks of it next.
And Forgiven, he loves to go this very hardcore straight up AD. He doesn't value attack speed too highly, so he's going for the Infinity Edge to just get maximum damage output. If he can land, you know, just a few shots on whoever from Millenium's side, he will be able to do so much damage. We see Kevin, he's been going for magic resist early, except for his boots, so he won't be able to tank someone like Forgiven for too long.
There's no real need for him to get to go in for a last whisper at this point to add in on top of that Bloodthirster. Well, there's not that much armor over on the other side to be shredded through.
Standard build would be something like a static shift to provide even more wave clear, but he's decided to ignore that because they feel like they have enough wave clear just with Kate, with Vladimir, and obviously with Kale we see how fast he can also clear the waves. So he didn't feel like going for this early on.
Kriaton doing the best that he can here to actually get back in this game in terms of farm, sitting all the way back on his inner turret, basically just making sure that those waves don't push out too far and keeping that farm going. He's done a decent job to get back. It was a lot more severe early on, still 60 CS though.
And a bit like the game yesterday with Copenhagen Wolves against Rocket, Copenhagen Wolves got ahead, but they were happy with the combo they had late game, so they decided to just take it easy, farm away, didn't want to take any chances. This time around again, they do the same. They just more or less let Millenium farm up, and then they just go to their own lanes, farm, and just pretty much rely on the fact they have a stronger late game combo in their mind.
Forgiving him to get himself a red buff for himself. If you look at his scores in their last 3 wins, you can see how safely he really likes to play. 7-0-3 against Millenium last time around, 5-0-5 against Fnatic, died once against Rocket, but didn't have any kills, had 10 assists, and that just shows you that he has constantly farmed an absolute storm, no doubt about that one, but he plays very, very safe when it comes to the fights as well.
Yeah, his team fight positioning is one of the best we have here in Europe. He's always in the right position, always hitting the right targets, and also staying away from all pretty much that can kill him. And that's one of the things he's so good at. That's also why Copenhagen Wolves like to play this style, where they give a lot of farm to him and rely on him being very strong late game.
Oh, Mason all coming through and actually does somehow manage to find Creaton through that. Already the Copenhagen Wolves have started off this dragon. 20.5 minutes in. Let's see if they can take it. Cocoon actually missing. Culling comes out. Going to be picked up there by Amazing. And actually, they're doing a lot of damage on towards that back line. And Trundle's gone right to the back to try and get it on towards Forgiven. But you mentioned it earlier. He's not really got any defense from that one. He's managed to run around though. In the meantime, Millenium were hitting from the other side and managed to pick up a kill on Youngbuck.
And Copenhagen Wolves, they completely split up. Youngbuck, he went into the backline of Millenium, while the rest of Copenhagen Wolves, they backed off, did some damage onto Trundle, but simply due to the fact that Youngbuck got singled out by Millenium and killed, and they couldn't take down Trundle, Millenium actually won the fight.
And now they could be in a little bit of trouble though. Piltover Peacemaker did land on towards Aranea, and the Wolves were looking to chase in from that one, but I think realizing, you know what guys, we could actually push and try and have a go on this inner turret. Gragas can't risk coming through that opening to get next to his tower. They're going to have to come around from the backside, but they're very, very low.
And a bit like we talked about in Champ Select, both combos have some good wave clear. If Gragas is actually staying around, he will be able to clear this out together with Creaton, making it harder for Copenhagen Wolves to push anything. So we are in for a game here where both teams can really wave clear, but also have pretty good siege.
What you're saying is it's going to be another long one.
I'm saying there's a chance.
I think there's a pretty good chance. We're 22 minutes in almost, and while there is that lead there for the Copenhagen Wolves, we've seen that it's definitely not too much of a lead from us. Forgiving going to take a lot of damage. There's the ultimate used very early on. That might actually cost them. Barrel comes through, but Kirk gets locked up. Amazing picks up the kill. Unlimited will die. There's the kick onto Creaton. Ace in the hole will be blocked by Aranea.
So Millenium actually managed to pick up 2 kills. They caught out Forgiven first. He had to pretty much flash away or he would have died from the barrel, which simply meant Copenhagen Wolves couldn't fight this one, and the rest of them died. Amazing did get a kill onto Crip, who was the guy who went into the tower range and got caught pretty much stunned in there. All in all though, Millenium, again, they pick up 2 kills to only 1. They win the fights.
2 for 1, take the turret. Good trade there for Millenium. Let's have another look at that one here. Forgiven just a little bit too far out, funnily enough, after I was just talking about his positioning.
And also the fact that Kautar's ultimate actually didn't block anything because he stopped all the damage. He does survive, but the rest, look at here, Kirk caught under the turret and maybe will pick up the kill, but the rest, the binding onto Unlimited gets him the kill, and also Aranea chases off Kautar on the side, gets another kill, and then they take the turret. So Millenium, they are getting back in this game. They are almost even in gold now.
Back into it, just like we like to see a back and forth game between the Copenhagen Wolves and Millenium so far. Let's have a look at some items here, because we haven't done that for a little while. Youngbuck in particular, Riley's Crystal Scepter was the last item that he just came in there. Nice chomp down from Kevin. Speaking of Kevin, we already talked about the fact that that Blade of the Ruin King's in there. He went a bit more towards Magic Resist, actually picking up a Giant Belt as his next item after that.
So you want to be a little bit more tanky. The Riley's Crystal Scepter onto Youngbuck is very smart, because Copenhagen Wolves, they rely on him being into the backline of Millenium. If he can slow everyone there, the rest of Copenhagen Wolves can follow up, join in for the fight, and then set something up. So I like that pickup. It also makes him more tanky, because he's the guy who's going to be in the front line. He's going to take a lot of damage from this Millenium team.
Down to the 80 carries once again. We already touched on the fact that Forgiven farming up the Storm. He's now at 234 CS, pretty much keeping up to that 10 CS.